This is the South China Sea. It's more than water, it's a lifeline. For Filipino fishermen, these waves mean food, family, survival. But out here, a bigger story brews. A tale of power, betrayal, and a small nation caught between giants. The US, China, and the Philippines itself. Now, as waves crash against the reefs, the Philippines isn't just surviving. It's standing at the front line of a storm that could shape the world. For centuries, these islands have been a prize. From Spanish conquerors to American bases, from Japanese occupation to today's headlines, the Philippines has stood at a crossroads. Now, it's saying no to China's massive Belt and Road projects, billions promised for roads, bridges, progress. Why? Because in these waters, trust is sinking, and the Philippines is ready to take control of its destiny. Let's go back. The Philippines wasn't always free. For over 300 years, Spain ruled, treating these islands like a treasure chest to plunder. In 1898, the US took over after defeating Spain. They drew maps, set borders, but left blurry lines in the South China Sea, gaps that would spark trouble later. The Americans built schools, but also crushed rebellions, like the Philippine-American War, which killed hundreds of thousands. World War II hit harder. Japan invaded in 1942, turning the Philippines into a battlefield. Manila was flattened. It was the second most destroyed city after Warsaw, and over 1 million Filipinos died. The occupation left scars, hunger, fear, and distrust of outsiders. When the war ended in 1945, the US helped liberate the islands, leading to independence in 1946. But ties stayed strong. In 1951, the US and Philippines signed the Mutual Defense Treaty, promising protection. Huge bases like Subic Bay and Clark made the Philippines a Cold War stronghold against communism. As the Cold War faded, things shifted. In 1991, after a volcano eruption and rising nationalism, the US bases closed. This opened a door, and China stepped in. Beijing claimed nearly the entire South China Sea with its infamous 9-dash line, a 1940s map overlapping Philippine waters, including Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands. In 1995, China seized Mischief Reef, a speck in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, building structures on Filipino territory. By 2012, tensions flared at Scarborough Shoal. Chinese ships blocked Filipino fishermen, sparking a standoff. Feeling cornered, the Philippines took China to court in The Hague in 2013. In 2016, they won. China's claims were illegal, but China called it waste paper, turning reefs into artificial islands with runways, radars, missiles. These unsinkable aircraft carriers threatened fishing grounds and $3.4 trillion in global trade routes. Under President Rodrigo Duterte from 2016 to 2022, the Philippines tried cozying up to China for economic gains. But China's aggression didn't stop. Vessels rammed Filipino boats, used water cannons, even flashed lasers to blind crews. When Ferdinand Marcos Jr. became president in 2022, he drew a line. In 2023, he axed major Belt and Road projects, fed up with delays and hidden costs. As of 2025, clashes continue, like a collision near Second Thomas Shoal, where a rusty Philippine ship stands defiant. For fishermen like Juan, this isn't politics. It's about losing the sea. Their families fished for generations. This echoes the past. 19th century powers bullying with gunboats. China's Belt and Road mimicking its old tribute system, demanding loyalty for aid. The US alliance feels like colonial protection, while Japan's role recalls its post-war redemption. This history fuels the Philippines' resolve to shape its own path. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, was pitched as a dream, a web of roads, railways, ports, funded by Chinese cash. For the Philippines, it meant billions for trains to link provinces, bridges to connect islands, ports to boost trade. It sounded perfect. China is the Philippines' top trading partner, supplying 25% of imports, from electronics to machinery, totaling $19.33 billion in 2024 against $9.42 billion in exports. President Duterte shook hands with Beijing, hoping for progress. But the dream soured. Projects stalled. Railways and bridges stayed half-built, tangled in red tape or China's failure to deliver. Critics warned of a debt trap where high-interest loans could lead to losing assets, like Sri Lanka's port handed to China in 2017. In the Philippines, people asked, is this help or a trap? At sea, China's actions spoke louder, harassing fishermen, destroying coral reefs vital for fish, blocking resupply missions to outposts like Second Thomas Shoal. These weren't partner moves. The South China Sea holds treasures, 11 11 billion barrels of oil, 190 trillion cubic feet of gas. But it's also a strategic prize. The Philippines is part of the first island chain, a 2,000-mile barrier from Japan to Taiwan to the Philippines, boxing in China's navy. The Luzon Strait, a 160-mile wide passage between northern Philippines and Taiwan, is a choke point. Every Chinese submarine heading to the Pacific passes here. For China, dominating these waters secures 80% of its oil imports and signals power. For the Philippines, it's survival. When Marcos Jr. scrapped Belt and Road deals in 2023, it was more than economics. It was a stand against bullying. He called it a re-evaluation, but it showed the Philippines could tip the scales in this power struggle. Saying no to China lit a fire. Now, the US, China, and Japan circle the Philippines like chess players, each with a strategy. The Philippines isn't just a piece, it could move the board. The US sees a chance to counter China. Through the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, 9 Philippine bases host US troops for training and quick response. In 2025, the US approved a $5.6 billion arms deal, 20 F-16 jets, HIMARS rockets, Patriot missiles. It's a message: we're here. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty means an attack on Philippine forces could pull the US into war, especially if Taiwan tensions escalate. The US is also eyeing more missile deployments like the Typhoon system to deter China. Japan plays smart and quiet. Limited by its pacifist constitution, Tokyo offers quality infrastructure. In 2025, Japan gave over $1 billion in loans for ports, railways, flood defenses, part of a $52 billion regional push. Unlike China's deals, these have no strings, aiming for shared growth. Japan, needing sea lanes for 90% of its energy, sees the Philippines as a shield against China's moves in the East China Sea. Trilateral drills with the US and Philippines in 2025 show Japan's commitment. For the Philippines, it's about staying free while growing strong. Moving from China reduces risks, while US aid bolsters defense and Japanese funds create jobs. By balancing these powers, the Philippines could sway the outcome of this global struggle. The stakes are sky high. One mistake, a stray water cannon, a sea collision, could spark war. If China attacks Philippine forces, the US could be drawn in, escalating fast. China might hit back economically, banning Philippine exports like bananas or nickel, tanking the economy. Environmental damage is real. Chinese island building has destroyed 21,000 acres of coral, cutting fish stocks by 70% in some areas, hitting fishermen hard. A Taiwan crisis could make the Philippines a front line, with the Luzon Strait as ground zero. At home, politics could shift. A pro-China leader could return, flipping policies. Misinformation or cyber attacks could sow chaos, giving China an edge. But there's hope. Ditching Belt and Road opened doors. The Philippines' economy is set to grow 6 to 7% in 2025, fueled by Japanese projects and US aid. US tech transfers strengthen the military, while Japan's investments build schools and climate defenses, vital for a typhoon-prone nation. Diplomatically, the Philippines can lead ASEAN to set South China Sea rules, turning weakness into strength. Joint patrols with allies like Australia deter China without shots fired. This isn't just survival, it's a chance to lead. The Philippines shows small nations how to face giants, weaving history with strategy to decide a future where its seas are shared, not stolen. As dawn breaks over the South China Sea, the Philippines faces a choice: balance power with pride, strength with sovereignty. The US offers protection, China tempts with wealth, Japan provides a steady hand. But the future lies with Filipinos. This power struggle could reshape the world. Let us know in the comments below. Will the Philippines decide its course? Like, subscribe, and turn on your YouTube notifications bell. This is Chrono-Political. See you next time. Political.